What's something about money you've never told anyone? Not the amount, the feeling. Let that sit in. Let that sit in. Well, in this episode, we're gonna talk about all of that. Welcome to the Barney Code. It's your host KB, and I got my co-host Keon, Ivy Scholar, hey, the Gen Z Nugget Dropper. I don't know, I'm freestyling, but how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. I'm doing good, man. I feel like we're gonna drop some extra nuggets today. So y'all better got y'all bucket, y'all box, whatever y'all got. Y'all better have it. But no, I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to today. And had a pretty good week at work, pretty good week at home, pretty good week just exploring. So I feel like I'm just ready for the day, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, my way. As you could tell, you could probably hear it in my voice. Hey man, hey, you boy in there like Ali, man. I'm battling though, man. Hey, they ain't gonna keep me down. I'm battling. But yeah, man. This past week, obviously it was Father's Day, but it also was our family reunion, which which was it was good to see your cousins you grew up with, man. And it's crazy because when you look in everybody's face, it just become more and more uh, apparent. Not that it wasn't real before, but everybody's getting older. One of my cousins, our cousin, your cousin too, Beverly had got a son that full ride to LSU. So you just hearing stuff, you like, dang, okay, crushing it. All right,
Wow, that's awesome.
right.
Yeah,
And
he
so
a tiger.
right, so you get excited about stuff like that, and just seeing everybody in general, and you like, dang, you exactly what I remember you back then, but you're just older. You just got gray hairs now. You got a whole family. You got multiple kids. Some people are relocated. Some people still stay in the same place. But it was just good family energy. And I don't know, man. This one hit a little bit different, man. Maybe because I've sometimes you pursuing things and you just get locked in, and you got your own targets and goals for your individual household. But a lot of times, time passes when you're in pursuit of your own things. But a good reminder for me was, even when you're in a pursuit of whatever your goals and dreams are, you have to ensure that you're making space for those relationships that you want to maintain. Because what is it that, say you get, 50, 60, and like you got all the material things in the world, but then you don't even have anyone to experience it with, or you don't even have family that you feel comfortable with inviting over. Say, hey, come to Houston. Hey, I'm hosting, whatever, whatever. But if you hadn't even built the relationship, or you hadn't maintained the relationship, when family's gonna be family, but at the same time, it's like anything else. If you don't, it takes mutual energy to invest in relationships, and just because it's family, you can't neglect it. And then in a time where you could be there in a time of need for somebody else, so they could be there for you in a time of need. If you just totally neglected those relationships, like what was it for? Like what was it for? You just there by yourself, like swimming in the goal, so to speak. But yeah, so that's what I that's what my takeaways was in the family reunions. And the good part was, it wasn't that something bad had to happen per se. It just a good reminder. We talked about this already, but yeah. So that's for me. That's my something I'm still kind of reflecting on. And heck, I've already been making calls. Connecting with folks like, hey, I want to stay in contact more, and I want you to come down to Houston, or I want to come down and visit you. And be just more intentional about it.
No, that's real. That's real for sure. Especially, I know a lot of our viewers, especially maybe like Gen Z, y'all probably recently just moved from home for undergrad or for whatever reason. Y'all relate. Y'all. It doesn't have to be like this. Don't you can still choose to go about it a different way. Stay in contact.
Yeah, I just remember, when you turn 18, you like, man, I'm out of here. And I don't think that my story is any different from anybody else's. That's probably a lot of people's story. They like, whether it don't even have to be on no negative tip. It's just like, I've been with my folks 18 years or whatever. I want to go see something else. I want to get out of the house, and so you rushing out of the house because you know you want to be grown and go do your own thing, and then it's funny how you go full circle and you like, man, I miss home, I miss my hometown, you know, and it's funny because you live in the big cities and you're like, okay, that was cool, but now I'm having more of an appreciation of a smaller town, just kind of more slow motion, got access to the beach, you just chilling, you know, and it's just slow motion living, and I'm actually kind of cool with that, you know. Yeah, so but yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into it. So for this first one is gonna be interesting. So I'm gonna start it like this. Be honest. Is there a number in your bank account right now that you're scared to actually look at?
That's a good one.
I've been there. Hey, I've been there. Have you been there? When I open it up that way and you hear that, what comes up for you? And if you want me, and if you want me to give a little more color, I can do that.
Nah, I can. I'm ready to double dutch. What's that? I'm ready to jump in. So I've been there in two ways. So back in my undergrad days, I've been there literally to where like, man, I might got $1.87 in my checking account, and my work study don't hit for another week or two. And it's like, man, and it hit different because you don't got no emergency fund built up. You don't got no credit available to you. So that checking account, that's like, yo, back in the day, you got your wallet. That's it. You got your money under the mattress. That was it for real. That was the money under the mattress. And that runs low, you low. You know what I'm saying? So back in the day, that was that was fun. But you always figure out a way to make it happen. But more recently, I would say now I've kind of my financial journey has evolved. I'm kind of at a different part of the journey now to where, like I mentioned, emergency fund is more built up, have access to more credit. So now it's not so much scared to look at my checking account. Now it's more so scared to look at how much credit you owe. It's like, okay, you got to pay that back now. You spent that. Now you weren't scared to spend it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no, that's 2 points in my journey though, where I would say, didn't want to look at a number. Rather not look at that number. And it makes it real. No, it makes it real, and you gotta do something about it at that point. Once you look at it, because you type person. So when things stay fuzzy, that's when you're not able to measure it and actually know if things are improving or not. You can just keep telling yourself, "Oh, I'm doing the right thing." Oh, back in the day, oh, the work study's coming. Versus, okay, I only have $1 in my checking account. I had 500 2 weeks ago. What's going on? And like, what really break it down? Versus, you know what? I'd rather just keep the cycle going because I like this cycle. It makes me feel good. I like spending on what I like to spend. And that's not a good thing. But I'm just that, especially back then, especially like now with the credit, I would say similar answer. You know, you like the lifestyle, so you don't want to look too much into it because you know that when you start looking at certain things and seeing certain transactions, you're gonna be like, man, I'm tripping, man. What am I up to? Like, man, I can cut back for a little bit and get low. You know what I'm saying? You gotta sit with that guilt versus not even looking at it. I would say shame, fear, and avoidance. And it might be more of a behavior, but avoidance for sure. Yeah.
Mm. But that's always interesting. Obviously, we're not in a situation right now, and we're not immune to it. But I just always wonder, like, why? What is that thing that makes us avoid the mirror, avoid the scale, avoid the bank account? Because we talk about money right now. because logically it's like, if you look at the bank account, at least you can assess where you are, and then you can make an adjustment. Now, it may not be an easy adjustment, because you may have to go through the struggle, because you balled out, you spent it up, or maybe you just didn't even have enough to begin with, and you was already extending yourself, or you wanted your cake and eat it too, but your bank account said something different. Said your bank account said you can't have your cake and eat it too. You got, hey, you really wanted filet mignon, but you really had that Chick-fil-A budget, so to speak. And you was like, you closed your eyes and you just swiped. You went to the steakhouse, you like, and you just swiped, and then you knew. Because I remember in college, which I didn't have too many of those moments because I worked full time. But there are some times where you overspend, and then you hand the card and you like, is it gonna go through? Is it gonna go through? Bam, set. Now I don't think about that, man, it's crazy. It's living on the edge, bro. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right, so I got a question for you. So, what's a specific memory growing up that you think is still running your decisions today?
Wow, that's deep. You said a specific memory?
A money memory.
Man.
Money memory.
Okay. Ooh, that changes my answer then. If it's specifically about money,
Mm-hmm.
man, I'll be honest. I remember being 15, got my learner's permit. You did I did what I'm supposed to do. Killing the grades, got my learner's permit. All my friends starting to get their cars. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, okay. All right, well, I know we're not the Jetsons. I'm not saying we're not Richie Rich in them, so I'm not expecting the BMW, the Jeep or nothing, but man, I'm finna be using this car for productive means. I was student council president, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I got things I need to do. But I just remember, I don't remember, I remember it was one conversation where something just in me shifted. And because, I ain't gonna lie, I'm the baby, I'm spoiled. So, I'm used to asking for stuff, especially when I was younger, you know what I'm saying? But for some reason, just in that conversation, something shifted in me. And I realized, like, we truly can't afford it, even if they wanted to be like, because you know how our mama is. She probably, if I wore her down enough, she probably would find a way to do it. But I realized this could break us though. Like I shouldn't do this. Like we can't afford this. And like it just felt like I never went back after that. You know what I mean?
But what was the memory? What was
The memory was, man,
the context?
everybody around me is getting cars. And I'm not saying everybody's getting Lambos, but everybody's got transportation. Meanwhile, I got to bum rides off of teachers, get rides off of friends, get rides off of everybody, wait at the school till 6, 7, 8 p.m., waiting for my parents to get off of work. And so it's not to complain about it because, man, a lot of people really stepped up and helped me out. And I had a lot of great conversations with people during those rides, man. So, it all worked itself out. And I was the type of kid, I was going to figure it out. This was pre Uber. So, you can't just, hey, man, hey, let me take an Uber to nah. And our city isn't walkable. So that rides really mean something. And so, man, I really appreciate like a lot of those people with taking me on rides to where I was going to study, going to school events, and just plain taking me home at the end of the day, And so I really appreciated that.
Yeah. Well, I tell you one thing. The beautiful part is everything is like 15 minutes away, like 15, 20 minutes away. Like you can get across one side of town to the other side of town. That's what I really miss. Uh, Versus like it is Houston traffic, probably kind of similar to you, the Boston traffic. Man, depending on what time of day, is bumper to bumper. And so it's funny being in Gulfport and they talk. Man, it's traffic, and sure it's traffic, but you know what traffic look like, where you might as well put on a good song or put on a good audio book because it's gonna be a minute before you get home.
Man, I was tripping yesterday. It was the end of a Red Sox game. I didn't realize it. They beat the Yankees. I don't know why I thought I was about to get out of the neighborhood quickly. It was so much congestion.
All right, so I got another question for you. Do you oversave, overspend, or swing between both? What does that pattern protect you from feeling?
Mm, that's a good one. You said swing between both.
Yeah,
Mm.
oversave,
I
overspend.
would say if I look at myself, I would call myself. I would maybe put myself in the oversaver category, but I don't. When we talking about mentality, I don't know. I don't even want to say oversaver, but I think my vice has been the under planner. I don't think I've been over anything. I don't think I've been spending too much. I don't think I've been because you know what I'm saying, like for instance, like I'll get into real life, like just recently. Man, my catalytic converter went out. It wasn't nothing I could do about that. You know what I'm saying? And so that's 3K right there. Almost 3K. And so my point is I'm throwing real numbers out because I'm saying some of it is consumer spending. Some of it can be like, man, you didn't need that $5 or $10 shirt, or you didn't need all those coffees. But sometimes life gonna throw something at you. And so if you're not planning for it though, and if these things aren't coming out of nowhere, you should know your car needs your car's gonna need something. You know what I'm saying? And so not having drop funds and things like that, just under planning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now that's good. I think I've been in all of them. The other part of the question is, what does that pattern protect you from feeling? So you say that you fall into the under planning. So are you protecting yourself from something? Are you not planning enough? Why aren't you planning enough? Let me say it that way.
That's a good question. So for me, because I'm glad we talked about this because I recently thought about this stuff, and I realized that man, I've been in my current role 8 months, right? And prior to that, I was unemployed looking for a role for about 2 months, maybe call it 3 months, to round up and call it 3 months. I realized that like emotionally and mentally, I was still and before those 2, 3 months of unemployment, I knew I was gonna leave the job. So I knew I was gonna quit and leave for about maybe a month and a half, but I still was, biding my time. But man, I realized that I kind of was arrested and stuck in that emotional sensation of like either about to leave the job and like uncertain of what's gonna happen, or boom, just left the job and like you got to figure it out now. You don't have a job, you're full time searcher, and so you got some money saved up. But man, Boston don't care about that. Give it enough time, it's gonna like I leave versus it's gonna knock that money out, and so you got to be quick and figure out something. And so you just really adapt to put all your chips in the short term survival table. You know what I'm saying? You put all your chips in and go all in on short term, and you're pretty sure it's going to work. But still, you gotta okay. Once it does work and it hits, now you gotta adjust the strategy and get. I can see how gamblers get addicted to certain. You know what I'm saying? That rush of that, not the rush, but like you got to train your mindset back out of that. Like if you're a football player, if you're NFL, if you're anything, you got to adapt back to the real world. What got you success in that arena? Now come back to the real world and be real citizens with us and do long term strategies and don't just focus on survival. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So okay. So you're saying that you were still finding yourself in survival?
Yeah, and it's crazy because I ended up putting myself, I don't want to say putting myself, but like through the combination of like say life happening, mechanic bill, this bill, dentist bills, and then just not planning, I actually ended up owing more money now than I did when I was unemployed, which is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
so like my emergency fund is right around the same. I think I've added some to it, maybe 1,000 or 2. But I've got more debt now than I did then. And it's just because of lack of planning and feeling like I said, imagine you feel like you just got chased by a lion, but then the lion, I don't know, you beat the lion. So now you feel like you chilling. You're not worried about going to plan out the next week or you just like, man, I just got chased by a lion. I made it. I'm good for I need to let me take a breath. But okay, once you take your breath, now what? It's time to plan. It's time to get ready for the next you in the forest. So it's gonna be more lions, it's gonna be bears, it's gonna be whatever.
Yeah. I'll give you. Yeah. I give you another. The other side of that is you hit a milestone, and then you know how, for example, in NASCAR, they celebrate. They have the winners lap, where they just and then they have and then they just celebrate. But then they do it in basketball. Like for example, the Knicks just won, so they did the parade, and so everybody celebrating, got the goggles on, champagne. But then what if you stay in purgatory celebration for too long before you get back into the game to go and hit the next target that you can celebrate again? Instead, you just been in this state of celebration and you just been spinning, going crazy. So I found I've done that before too. But then I've also hit milestones and then celebrated all, and just like, all right, what's next? And it's like, whoa, whoa, slow down. Like, hold on, slow down. That was significant. Like, hold up. Like this calls for a celebration. So I've calibrated from that. But then now, especially when you have your finances or you just always got to be on your game, and it doesn't mean that you're gonna be perfect, but because then that's the other side of it. You can find yourself in celebration mode too long, and then hey man, let's go hit. Hey, we're gonna be back on next week. Next week, okay, all right, July. Hey, we back in it. And before you know it, you blink, it's like, oh snap, we've been celebrating for 6 months. Whoa, what happened? But yeah, so that's a reality too. That's definitely a reality too. So shifting gears. Something else I wanted us to talk about. Uh, who actually taught you about how to be a man? And be honest, was it a person or just a trial and error?
Oh man. So, I mean, I'll try to go chronologically because I'll start with you know our father taught me indirectly because our father was he wasn't like an orator. He wasn't like I'm gonna teach you a lesson. He just more so you learn by watching, and so I just saw him always you know I would say hold the bills down. I always felt protected when he was in the house. So just off the rip, I felt the importance of having like a protective force in the house, what that meant, just that type of stuff, and what it meant to provide physically and just like financially. So I guess I would say I took that away. That was my first teachings of a man, seeing that up close. Because it's easy to take that for granted and be like, man, but I wanted this too and that too. But like, man, you hear some people be like, I didn't have a dad in the house. And I'm like, oh snap! Like, okay, let me stop complaining.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
let me
yeah, yeah.
stop tripping so much, like on certain things. But yeah, so that there is that. And then beyond that, I would say I had mentors growing up. I would say especially like you, even our our middle brother. I won't say his name, but our middle brother. Like I spent summers with him, and so like I said, same story as our father in terms of just learning by watching. You know what I mean, and learning by just authenticity. You know what I'm saying? By him being willing to just be real and just be willing to spend time with his little brother. You know what I'm saying? Whether the scenario is perfect or not. And so, yeah, man, just a lot of fun times there. But mentors, you and certain teachers, like the people I mentioned earlier who were giving me rides in high school, through but definitely certain teachers that were helping me out. Especially
Yeah.
during my college admissions journey.
So for me, sometimes you don't know what you're watching when you're young. Like you don't know what you're watching. You don't know. You're not like, hey, I'm watching this, and this is my father. Like this is the man that is teaching me. You just growing up, and it's just things are just happening, and then when you get older, you reflect back like we're doing now, and you connecting the dots backwards because it's easy to connect the dots backwards. So I would say I don't know if it's because you see some things you like, okay, I'm gonna do that. You see other things you're like, when I get older I'm doing it different. And it's just a mixture of that. For me, it was a lot of trial and error. A lot of trial and error when I got older in my 20s. But then what's interesting is I don't know if it's a man thing, but understanding cars. Um, and I have more blue collar in my blood than what I realized. Which that's not necessarily a man thing, but it has come in handy in scenarios when I was by myself, uh, negotiating with cars, buying cars, um, negotiating and understanding when you're taking your car to the shop and you're having to speak the lingo with a mechanic. You're like, why do I understand what you're saying right now? It's because when I was a kid, I watched my dad build stuff, put it together, break it down, uh, rebuilding motors, changing oil, uh, changing tires, all these things, all these different skills that you're learning, and it's life skills. So I know I mentioned it was like, man, like who taught you how to be a man? I don't know if that's a man trait, but that's definitely a life skill trait, which has been helpful for me. And so even like when I'm with my wife and she's trying to figure stuff out, because she's never known me to get under a car or me to start fixing stuff. But so how would she know that I know that? But then it's like, she's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, and then I'll like, oh, that's either one or two things. It's either this or that. But it just happened. And like, I'm like, I don't even know, like, how do I know this? But then I start reflecting, like, oh man, shoot, I know exactly how I know this. But I'm a funny story. You don't have to be a man to change a tire, but I prefer a man change a tire for a woman, or help her out, and where she not change a tire herself. So maybe it's a man thing, maybe it's not. But I remember one time all my friends was riding with me, and we came back from somewhere, and right before we made it back to campus, I saw a flat tire. I think I hit like something near, like when I hit it, it instantly went flat. So it really pierced the tires, and all the dudes in the car, I was the only one that knew how to change the tire. And so they're like standing around, they stand on the side like, you want me to you me to hand you you me to hand you this tool, or you me to man, I'm like, y'all don't know how to change the tire. Cause I come from the era,
Wow.
I come from the era where in your trunk you keep a jack, in the trunk, you keep something where you can pump up your tires, put air in your tires, and just a little basic kit that when you have in your trunk, something come up, you can kind of, you know, figure some stuff out. Versus you get a flat tire and you got that little thing. It's gonna take you a whole hour to change the tire. You put it in there, then you wind it. Like you just keep winding it. Man, it takes forever to change a tire. I learned that from Dad. You get it if you keep a little small floor jack in the car. You put it under the car, pop it up real quick. Well, first before you do that, you unloosen the bolts a little bit. You unloosen the bolts, put it under there, hit it real quick, boom, 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 boom. Hey man, then you finish taking the tires off, then you pull it off, put the new one on, the spare, put it on there, let it down, and then you go straight to the tire shop and get a new tire. But for me, I just thought, oh yeah, everybody know how to do a tire. No, everybody does not know how to change a tire. The
No.
guy walking around, I don't know. I don't know. It could be a little sketchy. And I learned in that moment. I think it was because we were deep in the car, so it was like one, two, like four people. It was like four people in the car. Nobody knew how to change a tire. So it's just things that you learn. Like wow, dang, I did learn that. So to your point, it wasn't like, hey son, this is how you be a man. It wasn't that. But think about it. Imagine being with your lady. Y'all get a flat tire together. You looking at her, she looking at you, and y'all like, well, anybody got AAA? And then now y'all going around
Right.
like AAA calls, and it's like, bro, you got a spare in the back. Just change the tire and go. Or the next day, get to where y'all going, and don't drive fast on that spare, and then you can go change it later. But like, imagine your girl get a flat, you don't even know what to do. Like, wow. So it's just stuff like that you don't realize that you end up picking up, which is which is interesting. Got another question for you, and I kind of talked about this already, but I want to send it your way. What's one skill or trait you had to figure out completely on your own because nobody modeled it for you? So that's the opposite.
Wow.
For me, as you thinking, processing your thoughts, I'll make mine quick. Investing.
Okay.
And for me, it was investing, learning like it's another side to the story. Like mom always said, save, save, save. And even in some forms, dad even said, hey, make sure you save. Now, I don't think we've ever had a save issue. It's just that what I learned is if you save with no purpose, that money ends up being spent as well. In the form of an emergency,
Mm.
a true emergency comes up, or there's a toy that you want to buy, and you've been saving it. Like you legitimately had built up a muscle of like saving your money. Like you had an account and you were saving your money, but then something came up whether you need to buy a car, down payment, something, and so money just always naturally finds a place to go if you just stay in a purgatory save space. But what I learned was save to invest. It's a difference. Like that's the piece that was missing.
Mm.
So that's something for me.
That's mine's kind of related or similar. So for me, I would just say planning and life planning, period.
Mm.
Like figuring out what do you want to do with your life? Not just how do you want to survive to the next year, the next month, the next paycheck, or the next whatever eventful thing, the next holiday, the next vacation, the next weekend. Life when life just becomes about surviving, you know, that's cool. And then you can have a lot of joy in that, get to the weekend, TGIF and this and that. But kind of like what you said with investing, that involves a level of foresight. That involves a level of thinking about the future in a hopeful way, not just in a
Mm.
dreadful or relief way, but more so in a I'm planning to do something good for my future self. I'm trying to set my future self up. And so I just remember the earliest part of that I got from me that I would say was taught to me would definitely just be I remember you just tapped me on my shoulder one day and was like, man, like, you know, you could go the typical script and like, go to school around here after high school, or or you could try to go to an Ivy League. And I thought you was crazy when you said that. I said, man, he's tripping. Like that's not don't he know the
Yeah.
script is go here, stay here, live here. But I mean, the thing is, you didn't just say it though. I mean, you had pursued an MBA and you had moved and gone and lived in different parts of the country. So that's what, like we said, there's one thing about teaching, you can't just say it. It's another thing
Right.
when you actually embody the lesson, then it hits different. And so I saw you taking your education serious, and I saw you taking, exploring different parts of the country serious. And so that made me start thinking about it and just start thinking about life planning. I saw you doing it, and like I said, I got my mentors who helped me kind of figure out where I wanted my trajectory to go. But yeah, just if I would have never had that thought though, I could have just, not to say that the alternative is horrible, but you get the point. It's
Yeah.
just, to me, it's about agency.
Yeah. Now that's real. What's what's one thing you'd actually want to pass down if you knew someone was paying attention?
I'm gonna still the same answer. I'm gonna say agency because this is what I wish I was learned. What I wish I was taught earlier even, but just Understand that you have a choice no matter how old you are. Don't feel like, oh, I'm a teenager, I don't have a choice. Or I'm in my 20s, I don't have a choice. Or then on the flip side, I'm in my 30s and 40s, I got a family, I don't have a choice. You always have a choice, especially in terms of how you show up to those that you care about and in how you show up to yourself and like show up for your own goals. Like life doesn't have to be about survival. You can choose to start setting up your future self for success.
Where I'm gonna go with it, I'm gonna go a little bit different. Uh, forgive, forgiveness,
Mm,
like true forgiveness, like forgive. Don't hold on to stuff that was from your past. And if you are, work through it as fast as you can while still honoring your emotions and feelings about it. And don't do it in isolation. Go get help to understand the emotions, connect the dots. Because sometimes when you're reflecting back on things, it's not that it didn't happen, but then you just laser focus in on all the points in time that were negative because that's the frequency you on. You can't be on a positive frequency and a negative frequency at the same time. So when you are reflecting the past, now you're literally reflecting back on a timeline of all the things that went wrong. And you're only focusing on that, and and you have no idea that that's impacting your current relationships because you're still hurting from your past and you're bleeding all over your current relationships that you're building with people or not building because you have that block that you need to address those things. And so ultimately it may feel like it's the other person, like I don't really want to fool with them, but honestly it's you that's being impacted. Sure, they're being impacted too because they probably when you put everything in its proper context, like if a person had like, especially back in the day, these days not as much, but like back in the day, like having kids at like 17, 18, and not even near the technology that we have today, which sometimes almost seem like it could be a hindrance because of social media and all that if you allow it to be. But imagine having a child from 18 to 36 while you're still learning yourself. But and that is your parents. But you're looking at it as your mother and your father. Hopefully your father's around. But you always see your mother and father as if they're always older. Like meaning like grandma on them age, like it's crazy how you when you're a kid and you don't realize you're like, oh no, it was a kid raising a kid. Like it was a kid raising a kid. And did they ever even find themselves? Did they ever even figure out who am I? Who they were? And so they were learning on the fly. And then you just happen to, especially if you're the first, they just going figuring it out along the way. So it's really kind of like a freestyle. Like they just doing the best. They really are doing the best they can. Obviously, when you're in the middle of pain and hurt, you're like, I don't care. They should have did better, But it's like, well, is that true? How do you know that's true or not? The results. So is that really true? It's not true. They just did what they did. But then when you take it a step further, okay, well, let me look at their upbringing. Then all things start to get revealed to you. You're like, oh, snap. Then you just look at like their life experience, just even beyond that, when they got older, you like, okay. And then you're like, okay, well, let me put myself in their shoes. Realistically, what I had going on from 18 to 36, would I have really done something drastically different? Maybe, but a strong possibility probably. It would have looked different, but really at 18, 19 years old to have a child. Woo, imagine you right now having somebody that's 6 years old, 5, 6 years old. That's wild. Think about that. Think about you still trying to navigate. You talking about your own emergency fund. You need to keep them. We ain't talking about childcare, daycare, clothes, them going to the doctor while you still working full time, school call off, like whatever, school closed down. Then now you got to figure out what to do because you still got to go to work, but they can't even go to school or daycare. So it's just like it's so many nuances that come along with that I think a lot of times we lose track of. We don't realize, wow, they really got me to 18. And so like them getting you to 18, it might have been some turbulence, you know, like a roller coaster, it might have been some turbulence, but it's like there was a lot that could have went wrong on the way to 18. A lot of turbulence, may have been some turbulence, but they did enough of the right things to get you to 18. So I would say forgive as fast as you can so you can move on with your life, because honestly, you're the one that's going to get stuck. And then you're going to be 40 years old or 45 years old still having daddy issues or mama issues. And there's no judgment on that, but cycle through that, because you don't realize, man, like when you get married and all that, like some of that's going to be spewing out with your partner and you don't even realize it. So all that to say is forgive as fast as you can, because you ain't perfect either. So name a man who taught you something in the chat. So this is for the chat. Hey, drop something in the chat, somebody or a name, the fact that nobody did, or hey, maybe both answers matter here. So maybe it was somebody that taught you something, or you like, man, I just figured it out along the way. So I've been a part of both. So I would resonate with that myself. But yeah, so make sure to do that. Let's transition over to the last segment. This is interesting. If your partner or your closest friend had to describe you as emotionally safe or not, which one would they actually say?
That's real.
Think about that. So that's a buzzword, right? So all right. So I'll as you processing, think about this. So this is just the difference between being calm and being safe. Do you just like go crazy? Are you easy to talk to? Does a person walk on eggshells around you? Does a person feel comfortable being vulnerable and like expressing their true thoughts with you? Or are they hold them in because maybe they might feel like they'll be judged if they do share? And so when you hear that, what comes up for you?
Man, I'm saying you're hitting the nail on the head. I would say that for me, it's so real and it's so relevant, especially now, because I can, like I said, I've been in individual therapy. And so I think it always starts with yourself. You always got to wonder, are you being emotionally safe with yourself? You know what I'm saying? Do you even let yourself, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, like, are you being honest and real and vulnerable with yourself? Are you being honest about your bank account, or are you hiding it? You're not even being real with yourself. Are you being honest with just all areas of your life? Can you look at yourself in the mirror and be honest and not judge yourself? If not, you got to answer that part. Because if you can't even love yourself, how are you going to be able to spread that to other people? You're going to be spreading tainted love. You're going to be spreading love that's conditional. They mean you talking about that type of stuff. But yeah, so but for me to answer the question in terms of like safety, man, so something specifically I've been thinking on lately, especially the last like several months, I've been thinking about something I've been thinking about is you can't just love a person for the best parts of themselves. You gotta love the whole person. And so, just like we're all humans, we all have strengths, but those strengths become shadows, if it gets applied in the wrong way. And so, just the same way I have pros and cons, I have certain things that I do really well, but just too much of anything is a bad thing. And so, on the flip side, you got to learn to appreciate those strengths in your partner or whoever the relationship is, your partner, your kid, whatever. Don't just try to shun them if it shows up in a way that you don't like. You got to understand it's the same trait showing up when you like it and when you don't like it. You gotta be welcoming and like you said, inviting.
Man, that's interesting. One thing that comes to mind for me, I remember I did an exercise, and I've told you about this before. So I was getting coaching, and I was having, we were having some friction. And so one of the things that my coach said, he said, I want you to do an exercise for me. He had me do an exercise where I just went and asked the question, what is one thing that what is one thing that I can work on in our in our relationship, like in our relationship. And what she said was, listen, like listen to not fix stuff, solve stuff. So she wasn't fully feeling like she was being heard. Um, and so in my head, I would say and it would look something like this. For me, I would just take for instance, someone says something where I'm like, that's just dumb. That doesn't even make any sense. And so I wouldn't have the patience. I wasn't necessarily saying it was dumb out loud, but my energy was giving off that's dumb energy. Like that's dumb. Like that doesn't make any sense. That's just, but what I learned was actually it's not for me to criticize whether it's dumb or not. It's because it's that person's idea or thought. Just let them get it out. And they might not even be trying to solve for anything. But back to the exercise, I was like, man, I do be. In my head, I'm thinking, man, I do be listening. Like I thought I did. But I guess it's levels to the listening. And so wrote it down. Because the other thing too, he said, get ask and shut up. No rebuttals, no nothing. Shut your mouth. Like he said it just like that. So, because if you know the DISC personality, the DISC assessment, I'm a high D, so I'm gonna get mine off. Like I'm gonna say what I need to say with no issues. And so it was funny. So I wrote it. I was like, okay. Took it back to him. He said, we're gonna get in the lab. So we got in the lab. One of the things that was game changing for me was he was like, whenever your wife is saying something to you, do not offer any solutions. I know you naturally wired that way. Don't offer any solutions. Just listen. And one of the things you can do, because in our mind as men, we're like, oh snap, my wife going through something. I need to fix it. Like it sounds noble, but it's like, no, I don't need Mr. Fix It right now. I just want you to like listen. And it's like, well, why are you telling me about it if you don't want me to fix it? Like, so most men, if you listen, you probably resonate with that. You probably like, well, yeah, duh, that's logical. Like, but no, that's not how their brain works. It's not, they're not wired the way you're wired. We're wired very logical. You throw a problem out there, I'm grabbing it, trying to figure out, okay, well, shoot, how do we solve for that? No, this ain't that. This ain't that. You're not at work. You're not, no, your wife is not a project. Just listen. I was like, all right. One of the things you can do, because for me, it's hard for me to do that because I'm automatically want to solve a problem. When I hear a problem, I want to solve a problem. But what I realize is not all problems are for me to solve. One, but then also some people don't even want their problem solved. And so now you didn't start coming up with all these things. They not interested in that. They want to hold on to the story. And sometimes it happens to just be maybe it's your mama, maybe it's your cousin, maybe it's your wife, maybe it's whoever, maybe it's a coworker. Sometimes people it may sound like a problem, but they just vent they just vent and getting it off, and they're not gonna solve for it at all. And you're like, well, okay, all right, I don't like that. I'm gonna solve it. Like I want to fix it, but that's me. So and one of the things that the other tool that he gave me was just ask a clarifying question. In a nice way, not a rude way. Are you sharing? Hey, are you sharing? Is this a moment where you just want me to listen, or are you like brainstorming and you want to like bounce ideas? And it's like, no, I just want you to listen. And so what that did was that helped turn off my problem solving part of my brain, where I'm like, oh, okay. So then talking about it's like, oh no, this happened at work, and it's like, what? That's crazy. Why they do that? Man, that's wild. But like genuinely like listening and you like, having dialogue back and forth. But that's a different type of conversation versus you like, okay, we got to get in the lab. Like, okay, I got my arms folded. Like, so so break down the problem to me again. Like, what's the scenario? That's a totally different, those are two different things. But now I could just relax and then, listen. And I'm like, game changer. Like, game changer. But guess what happened? Over time, because I had started to listen, I upped my listening skills. I thought I had them already, but clearly there's levels. But then guess what started to happen? Hey, I got this situation. What do you think? Hey, yes sir. Tag your boy in. Hey, I don't know if you watched wrestling back in the day. Hey, your boy jumping over that rope, jumping over there. Let's go. And then, hey, I grab her arm, we clothesline them. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. Then she jump out the ring, and then now I'm in the match going at it. So I'm like, yeah. So every time I just be listening, like, what do you think? And it's like magic happens for me. I'm like, bet, let's go. Let's talk, whatever. But yeah, so that's the story. All that to say, that's what you'd be surprised, man. And it's going to be a lead up to a question I have for you. If you ask the closest, now this is for you. If you ask the closest person in your life whether you're emotionally safe to be around, are you sure what they'd say?
Man, I think I got an idea of what I'm gonna go with my wife, because she probably known me the past 5, 6 years, so she done seen the evolution. She would probably say I done came a long way, especially with counseling and just even recently. I think she's told me like, it's not even about counseling. It's about how you show up in counseling, like whether you showing up trying to be defensive and get the last word and no, this is how it really went, or are you really just showing up like open heart, open ears, open mind, just trying to get to the resolution, not like, to your point, not just logic based, but just open heart, like, okay, I just want to hear how my partner experienced certain thing, not just I'm here to tell my story and I'm here to let the therapist know what really going on. And so just what is your focus? And so yeah, I really like what you said. Something that I'm working on actively now. What you just said, like, ideas are like babies for real. Like when someone shares an idea with you, like that's deep. It's because I think especially like for men, we're used to going to forums where it's like, okay, this is a round table. We're sharing ideas with each other, and we want you to critique it. We want you to beat up this idea. But like to your point, your woman don't always want that. Sometimes she's presenting this idea of hers, this baby of hers,
Mm.
and she doesn't want you to beat it up. You just punched that baby in the face versus listen and say, "Oh, nice baby, cute baby. Thanks for sharing that with me."
Yeah. Yeah. So to close out this segment, chat, ask the closest. Hey, I'm gonna challenge you. So ask the closest person in your life this question this week. Just ask, do what I did. Don't try to defend. Shut up. Just listen. But you might learn something. You might learn something. And then once you have that information, it's on you to do something with it. All right. So now to the Barney Code lightning round of questions. So the first thing that comes to mind, don't think about it. Uh, 30 seconds to 45-second answers. This is raw, off the cuff. What's going on? This not rehearsed. So what's the money habit for question one? So what's the money habit you have that you have traced back to something that happened before you were 18?
Ooh, something that I just addressed recently, literally like this past weekend. I said, man, let me stop thinking short term. Let me stop just focus on the next paycheck or two. And let me start projecting out for the next year, the next 2, 3 years. And once I realized I shifted my mind from that, I realized that made me humble myself and say, I can't just keep it all up in here. You can keep 1 or 2 paychecks in here. You can't keep the next 2, 3 years up in here. So that's when I realized I really need a system.
Name the man who taught you something real, or if nobody did, just say that.
Nah, someone taught me something real at some point. You know what, man? Because I got a couple names that pop up. Someone that taught me something real. I'm gonna go with our boy. I'm gonna say Edie. His name's Edie, but he just taught me that, man. Very from an early age in high school, he taught me that if you give 100%, there's certain people that would meet you and give they 100% to help you achieve your dream. And so he gave 200%. So he drove me. We're in Mississippi. We're in Gulfport, Mississippi. He didn't drive me to D'Iberville. He drove me to Houston, and then a year or two later, he drove me to the Northeast. I didn't say he flew with us. He drove us, just him driving, up and through the Northeast, up and down to the different schools to go visit. And that's what really changed my trajectory. Because before that, it was just a boring school on paper. After that, it was a real dream that I had to get back to.
Wow, that's good. That's good. If a younger guy were watching you right now, what would he learn? You a Gen Z, but let's just say, somebody 16, 17, 18 on it. Let's just say getting ready to be in high school. They on a come up. What would you what would you what would he learn?
I would say slow down. Don't focus on being, looking impressive. Don't focus on what others are thinking. Just focus on understanding yourself and focus on like your own emotions. Understand yourself the best that you can. Because when you got that self knowledge, then you start getting dangerous, and then you can start applying that and being a better version of yourself for the people that you care about, and then strangers, and then so on and so forth.
Okay. That's good. That's good. What's the last thing that made you realize you weren't as okay as you thought?
Man, I would just say, especially being in therapy recently, man, I was talking about a relative that had passed away, maybe
Mm.
4 or 5 years ago. And this therapy session was maybe 2, 3 months ago. So this relative has been dead for 3, 4 years. But me and them were like really close childhood friends. And so it felt really good to just talk it out with somebody and just let that out and really, because you just carry the stuff day to day, but you don't ever address it, or you don't ever just actually sit down and slow down and pause with it. And so that was a moment that really helped me.
All right. Last question. Last question. The surprise, this is a bonus question. If the people who taught you how to be a man could see who you turned out to be, would they be proud or would they recognize exactly where you're still stuck?
Ooh, that's deep. I think they'll be proud. They wouldn't see me as like finished, but they'd be like, man, that young man, he took our teachings and he kept going. Like he didn't just stick with it. He didn't just stay stuck with it.
Yeah. Hey, make sure in the chat, make sure you drop your, if you heard those questions, if it's one that you want to answer, drop it in the chat. Uh, but be honest with your answers, the real answers. So the real one. All right. So what's the Barney code of the day? What you got? What you got for us?
Man, Barney Code of the day. Subscribe, like, and comment. That's the first Barney Code. Now, with the real
Yeah.
Barney Code, I'm gonna say, man, just like you said, I'm gonna steal from you. Be forgiving, but forgive yourself first. Whatever it is you harboring against yourself, whatever you beefing with yourself over or beating yourself up over, let it go and go really work through it. Because I really don't think you can love others until you loving yourself properly.
Hey man, ain't nothing to add to that. Hey, I'm gonna just say I second that. Hey, forgive, love harder, forgive fast, appreciate more, and just live life, man. You only got one of them. They say YOLO, but it really is. You only live once, but it's not. You only live once to do something reckless. You only live once because you don't know how much time we have left on this earth. And so let's make the best while we're here. Let's make the best of while we're here. And man, let's get it, man. Let's get it. Life is just way too short to be holding on to stuff from the past. So as Mr. Ivy dropped, hey, let's forgive, man. Let's forgive more. It sounds easy to do. And don't say nothing about no, man, I'm gonna forgive, but I ain't gonna forget. And then when that topic come up, a person could hear your heart revving up and you getting up excited, you getting mad about it, talking about it. You haven't forgiven. It's like you haven't forgiven. This is how you know you're forgiven. When you could talk about that subject and it no longer has the emotional strong arm that it had on you that it once did. That's how you know you resolved what you needed to resolve. Don't mean you won't have your triggers, but for the most part, if it come up 10 times, 8 of those times, you ain't even really thinking about it like that. Hey, until the next episode, we out, man. We out of here. Peace.